Well, I got inspired to share a little wisdom from the I Ching about the current hexagram that the sun is transiting through. If you watch my other videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, about every 5 days, as the sun transits through our skies, um, it's also transiting through different hexagrams of the I Ching or gene keys. But I'm only going to speak about the hexagram. So this week we are being influenced by hexagram 23 until May 14th. So I wanted to share some very simple practical wisdom from this hexagram. So hexagram 23 is called splitting apart. And there's many different topics under this hexagram, and I'm only picking one to speak about. But basically it's splitting apart. We split apart from our wholeness, our harmony with the cosmos when we follow the thoughts and the actions of the ego. And or we split apart from the ego when we follow our inner truth. Now, it also talks about how by mislabeling and naming things or perceiving things, particularly words that we use, that we can split apart those words that are actually packets of consciousness. We split them apart from their wholeness by misperceiving them or mislabeling them. Now, what do I mean? Well, we are in this reality, not this reality, but we have a tendency to think of things as in opposites, black and white, good and evil, light and dark. And we think of them as opposites, as opposing values. And when we do that, and we label emotions or feelings, love and hate, we have a natural tendency to think that they are opposites. And in thinking things in opposites, which is the cosmos doesn't think of things think of things in opposites, we split those things apart from their wholeness. And how the universe speaks about these, they're pairs, but they're not opposites. They are actually complementary values that are in of themselves together as a pair whole. But when we think of them as opposites, we split them apart from their wholeness. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? So how does that help you in a practical way? Well, it can help you when you're dealing with emotions that are coming up and you want to transform them, you want to heal them. So we have a sense of anger, hatred, feeling abandoned, disappointed, and we have these feelings and we try to heal them, but we forget that they have a pair, because everything in our reality has a pair. But in actuality, there's a third element. 1 + 1 = 3 in this world. You have the complementary aspects, the two complementary aspects that make up a pair. But the real transformative value comes from the third aspect, which is the relationship of the two. When you hold those two quote unquote opposing values or complementary values together, then a third transformative thing comes about. So you're feeling angry. So what would be the opposite feeling? See, this is the tendency, we think of opposites. What would be the complement to anger? Happy. You're feeling enraged. The complement would be peaceful. And this is a real technique. It's a somatic healing technique that when you are feeling such negative energies, that if you can hold its complement in your awareness at the same time. For example, peacefully enraged and feeling peaceful and enraged, or I'm feeling enraged, but its complement is peacefulness. So you can connect those two together and hold, I'm feeling peacefully enraged, and just hold that in your awareness, in your subtle body awareness. And what will happen, I guarantee you, this happened to me, if you can hold peace and being enraged at the same time, then what happens is something, you've brought them both into wholeness, and they come together, and instead of being two separate aspects, they create a third element. Then you are peacefully enraged rather than enraged and not its complement pairing. I'm probably not saying this very well, but I know you get what I'm saying. So I did this exercise, and there was a lifelong feeling of abandonment, this fear of being abandoned. Well, what is a complement to feeling abandoned? Safe. So I brought up this feeling of being abandoned or alone or not having any help. You can figure out your own feeling. Brought it up, held it over here, and then brought up the feeling of being safe, and held those two complementary energies out there in my awareness at the same time, simultaneously. And all of a sudden, like this big swirling energy came about, and was like they went, and it suddenly became healing. It was a healing energy, something transformation. And I was okay with feeling safely abandoned. I was feeling safely abandoned. And it was like all the negativity was drained out of it. And I could accept that feeling of abandonment, but because I was safe. I hope I'm explaining that well. So here are some examples that you can be happily angry, peacefully enraged, lovingly hateful, safely abandoned, or joyfully disappointed. And you can make up your own, whatever's coming up for you, whatever is it, that lifelong, maybe of a fear, maybe you can have being excitingly fearful, excitement and fearful, whatever it is, if you could hold them out there in your awareness simultaneously, eventually, because you haven't split them apart from their wholeness, they will come together into wholeness and create a third thing, a new transformative energy in your body. Okay, so that's some wisdom from the hexagram 23. Don't split things apart by thinking of things as opposites. They are complementary aspects. We want to keep everything in its wholeness and in harmony with the universe. Okay, until next time.